Hey everyone, this is Jamie from LetOX, and today I am sharing a video flipping through my paper planner, which is one way that I use to track my cross-stitch projects. Apologies for not being on camera or face to camera. My computer's giving me all kinds of issues, but I think this is actually a better way to view the content if you are looking at the actual planner versus my face. So I have on my planner, it is a Filofax A5 planner that I got from Amazon, and it has this little band that keeps it nicely secured. It has 6 rings, which is pretty standard for planners, and then I've also purchased 2 of the 6 divider planner packs, also from Filofax. Yeah, you can see that these are branded. So let me just flip through kind of quickly to show you what it looks like right now before I start working on it. So at the very beginning, I have my project inventory where I have taken the promo images from all of the projects, all of the patterns that I've purchased, and they are here so that I can easily reference them very quickly and I can see which ones I've done. So I ended up hand drawing all of these boxes, and I didn't like the look, so I redid it digitally. So now I have my project inventory with the boxes that are just ready to be filled in. All I'm gonna do is peel up the photos that are already here and paste them into these pages, and then just throw the rest into the recycling once that's done. The second section is all about planning, and I already have a 2026 heading here. So I have 2 different ways of planning projects, and so that's either planning them by season or monthly/quarterly. So in this first section, it shows you if you were to want to do this seasonally. It has all of the different seasons, and I'll come back to this how I would use this in a moment. And then I also have seasonal plans that are written out this way so you can see them a little better. There's technically 4 pages of seasonal plans, so it's winter, spring, summer, fall. And so this right here is actually the summer planner because winter and spring have already passed us. And so here I had written out what I wanted to do in the summer and in the fall. And now that we've reached fall, all of these are kind of blanked out, and here are the fall section and what I was planning to do, or what I would like to accomplish. And so then for each of the different seasons, there are these individual seasonal project keeper trackers. So on this one, the fall specifically, I wanted to know how many projects I had in progress, what goals I have, what I want to focus on, and then towards the end of the season, I would write any notes that I have for next season. And then on the back of this is just plain. So that was seasonal. Now this is monthly/quarterly. So instead of having each of the seasons, I have all of the calendar months. And then in the same way with the seasonal, I have plans for Q3 and Q4. So this is actually, I've commandeered this and I've just kind of been utilizing it as the list of projects that I've completed and want to complete by the end of the year. So at the moment, I've completed 14 patterns. I have Haunted Book Cart and The Librarian in progress. So those will quickly be 15 and 16 completed plans for the year. And then seasonally, I also have individual month planner pages. So this is where I'm keeping track of the number of projects I have in progress at the first of the month, writing down my goals, my focuses, and then also my stitching tracker. I didn't do so great keeping up with August because I ended up working on a project that just had a paper pattern. So I didn't have the data from Markup RX to write anything down. But in this video, I'm going to update my stitching tracker for September because we're kind of midway through the month. This month I have 3 projects in progress. My goals here are to complete 2 projects. Doesn't matter if it's the in progress ones or different ones. I just want 2 completed patterns. I want to do a birthday start this year, and I already have the pattern picked out and kitted and all that fun stuff. I want to try a multi-project approach, which I will talk more about, I am sure, in my regular Flosstube. And then I want to get prepping for the October projects that I want to get going. So alongside these goals, here's what I'm focusing on. It's the same projects I just mentioned earlier. It's the Haunted Book Cart and the Librarian. And then I want to start the Moonlight Sampler. And then once I'm done with either the Haunted Book Cart or the Librarian, I'll start Midnight Walk. So those kind of 4 will be in progress. And then I also want to make progress on one project, my oldest whip that I started in January, that I don't have a lot of progress on. And I finally put that project into Markup RXP and saw how many stitches are. I think my initial seasonal goal was to stitch 10% more. That's funny to me now, how sweet and innocent I was back then, because there's like 70,000 stitches in that project specifically. So I think I'm going to bring this percentage down to like even just 1% would be great. And then here I am also showing what I want to be prepping for October, which is the Halloween Quaker. And then I already have my October printed. I don't have November, December printed just yet. This is another way that I keep track of my projects, and this is keeping track of them by like the stage of the project that they're in. So I have it kind of written out all here, and I will include this in the description box so you can quickly refer to it. But these are how I categorize my projects. And so this is from the start, this is to the end, and then here are the projects we're not really working on at the moment. So I keep things in categories like on deck. Basically, I have a pattern purchased, but I don't have any other supplies. I just know that I want to stitch this. Prepping is when I have that pattern and I've started gathering all the various supplies that I think that I might need to use. Kitted is I've gathered all of those various supplies. They're in my home in a project bag and ready to go. In progress is when I've actually started stitching. Pattern completed is when I have finished the pattern. I know a lot of people call this finished, but I like to make it I like to designate it differently from finished, because project finishing is when it's actually in its full form and it's ready to be displayed, and that's either on a wall or on a pillow or something like that. And then the last category here is parked, and those are projects that are just really not a current priority. I don't really have any plans of when I might go about stitching those, so I just have a list of them. And a lot of times it's like this category mainly is a lot of the projects I purchased way at the beginning of when I started doing this, and over the years, and before I really got into stitching as a hobby. So my styles have changed, or I just don't feel like stitching them anymore. But so those are my projects. These are all the categories that I have. Then I have these little stickies where I have written the name of the pattern and who designed it, and I can easily move these around when I need to. So it's following the categories of what is on deck. And so in this category, like I said, these are all the projects that I've purchased a pattern for. I haven't done anything with them. Prepping is when I have started collecting items, either the fabric or the floss, whatever it is that I might need to get this project going. And I'm actually going to start moving these because I've already prepped Moonlight Sampler and I have it ready to go, and I would like to start this in September. And then Halloween Quaker is another that I have already gathered all the supplies for, so it's now in the kitted category alongside these others. Button up as well. So I did a bit of kitting in the past few weeks, and so I am ready to go on these various projects. I'm leaving Fat Cat still in prepping because I haven't purchased any floss for that one, but I do have the background fabric that I'm going to use. So now I have all of these in the kitted area, so I can quickly notice and know what might be the next project that I grab for when one of these is completed. So these are my in progress. I'm working on the Cats of El Gato Gomez. I'm working on the Librarian and the Midnight Book Cart from Haunted Frames. So these are in progress. And once I'm finished with one of these, then I'll switch it over into the pattern completed section. And then once I've done some of the finishing, or once I've completed the finishing, it goes into the project finish. And so this is not comprehensive of like all of the projects that I've completed or finished this year, but these are the projects and patterns that I was working on when I was putting this together. So I didn't go back and retroactively add a bunch of stuff because I just felt like that was not the best use of time. But from once I printed and had these printables ready to go, then I added all the various projects. And you'll see back here that I have some new photos that I want to add to some of these next pages. And alongside adding photos to the next pages, I will also be creating little flags for each of them. And there's no rhyme or reason to the color. That just happened to be the flag color that I grabbed from the bag. I could get into that as well, but I'm probably not. Okay, so this is just to show me where these projects are in the life cycle of a project. There's no time constraints to this whatsoever. It's just moving things around to show the state of where everything is. And yeah, there's no time element to it versus these projects back here, these pages back here, where there is a time element, and I'm designating what season or what month it is that I'm wanting to work in these. And so coming back to this printable, like I said, I have a seasonal one and I have a yearly one. And I think what my plan to do is I would write out the name of the pattern that I think I'm gonna work on in winter and spring, summer and fall. Basically just write out all of the patterns that I have on deck and just plan out my year that way. And I have the little stickies here and I can kind of see if I'm planning to stitch a lot in the summer versus a little bit in the spring, and how can I rejig the project focus to be a little bit more balanced. And it's easy to do, and I'm not erasing or having to reprint anything. It's just a matter of moving stickies into the various areas. So that's what these pages are intended for. I just haven't done it yet. So going back to the Kanban, here are all the projects in their various starts and their various categories. I have them here visually so I can easily move and see what's going on. And then I also have a divider for each of the categories. And instead of starting at the beginning of the process where maybe I just have a pattern, I'm starting at the end here. So I can quickly see all of the projects that I have finished this year and then also a little bit before. So I'm just historically, I just decided to use the digital spreadsheet that I shared in my last video, and I'm keeping track of just the finished and the completed from the past on here, and then everything else is just going forward from 2025. So here's my finished section. I did not go back and like print any of this stuff. Like I said, I just started with what the projects that I wanted to add to this binder since I've started working in this binder and not before. Like I'm not retroactively going to go back and do that because I do think it's not an efficient use of time or paper or energy, none of that. So you'll see that there's only one project page in here, and that's for Mouse's stitching. And yeah, that's because everything else was finished before I actually had this binder going. So let me show you one of these pages. This is what I have for every pattern, and patterns for me equals projects. So I have a pattern or a project sheet for every single pattern that I've purchased lately, I will say that. Again, not anything retroactively from before 2025, but yes, anything 2025 on, I have made sure to, I've tried to make sure to do a page for it. Unless it's already completed, it was already completed before I even started this binder, this planner, so there are a few things missing, but for the most part, everything's here. And the information that I write on these is the name of the pattern, the designer, my start date, and my finish date. And I'm probably gonna update this to also have like a completed date, like a completed pattern and a project finish date, because those are two different dates. And I think it's interesting to see when did I complete a pattern and then how long did it actually take me to finish it. And the only reason this one is finished is because it was for a birthday and I needed to get it done before that person's birthday, before my mom's birthday. So this might be getting a bit of an update. Then I'm also keeping some notes about the pattern, the various information that I might need, and then writing down the information that I know about the materials. And say like I get a new piece of fabric and I know immediately that I'm going to use it on this, whatever project it might be, I can start writing all of that information down. I also like to keep track on this side of just where in the process it is. And because this one is fully finished, all of the little dots are filled in. On the back is space for me to write in all of the thread that I might need to purchase for this. And it's a way for me to like be able to note quickly what I own and don't own. And I've fully filled out other pages in here, so it'll be easier to like comprehend this once I flip through the pages. And then I have a small section here on finishing, what the plan is, what the materials needed are, and if it's a gift or not. And then I have just a rough timeline or progression of the project here to, you know, just keep track of where you are. So let me keep flipping so you have a better idea of what this looks like in use. So then, in addition to having all of my finished projects, I have all the completed patterns listed here. On these pages and subsequent pages, I show which of my projects has been advanced to the next category. So of all of these finished completed patterns, I've only actually finished one, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. What I want to see here is just which ones I haven't done so that I can, you know, focus on those going forward. So here's the completed section, and again behind it are all of the various project pages for each of the projects. So some of these I kind of just threw in the binder and never really filled in, or I didn't fill out all of the information, and that's okay. I'm just happy that I have some sort of record here. And then I think my plan is for the end of the year to archive this in like a separate binder so I don't lose any of this information, but I don't want to keep it in here because this binder is already getting pretty full, the planner's getting pretty full, and I don't want to be busting at the seams here. So here's an example of me having written out all of the various floss that is required for this project, and I am making note of what I own so that I can go back and purchase the remaining flosses that I might need. And then also some of these I printed they're a bit older, so these are, I didn't want to restart and reprint things when this is still perfectly good. Since this is my prototype and it's just really for me, I was okay with utilizing some of the older ones. So you can see I had completed up here, but now I have it, you know, the whole stage of the progress here. And it's fun to kind of just like go through these and like update them, which I will do just momentarily in the video, and see, I don't know, I just like checking boxes and highlighting things to say that they're done. So this again was the completed pattern section. Moving on to in progress, I can quickly see that I have 3 in progress and 2 have been advanced. And so these are now in the completed pattern section. So then behind them, behind the list, which if you just would like to utilize a list, that's fine too. But I like having these little pattern project pages for each, and this one I actually filled out a bunch of stuff on it. So, and then I used this when I went to my LNS to get the the floss that I needed, that I hadn't purchased from elsewhere, and so I know that I need to get 3799 next time I went to the LNS, and then I did get it, I just haven't crossed it off yet. And then here's another in progress. And then this is my longest whip in progress. I started it on January 18th of this year. I'm not keeping track on these pages of like stitch counts or anything like that. I'm just kind of guesstimating, like, am I 10%, 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 90% done? They're just guesstimations. They're not anything specific. Here's my kitted section. So a lot of things have been kitted that had been kitted, now moved into either in progress, completed, or finished. And here are all of the projects that I know that I have all of the supplies that I need, and these will be where I pull my next project from once I'm finished with one of the ones that I'm currently working on. Or in the case of this one, once my birthday comes around, this will be my birthday start, so I will start that at the end of September. So they just follow this pattern and this flow, and it's so easy when a project, so say I start working on Halloween Quaker, super simple, super quick to move it from kitted to in progress. And then at that point, I would write on here the date, the Halloween Quaker, and this is by Lila's Studio, just so I would know when I started working on this. Yeah, just to keep it going. And then we are getting towards the end-ish. These are the projects that I'm prepping. I just like having this visual and being able to see the pattern instead of just having a list. Now, a list is perfectly good, but coming from the scrapbooking world, coming from the planner world, I like my paper. So that is one of the reasons why I started this for me, to keep me on track and making sure that I'm achieving what I want to achieve and working on the projects that I want to be working on. So then there's the on deck section, which is I just have a pattern. I don't have anything else. And some of these are written in on and some of them aren't. But this is just for me to know like what's upcoming and what I think I'm going to be working on. And then these will have a coordinating little tab in the Kanban section, so I know where they are in progress. It's just another way of kind of flipping through and seeing what I have really quickly and where it is in process. And then the last section here is parked, and these are the ones that I don't have any immediate plans to either get back to or to start. For whatever reason. And then yeah, it's just this section here, and I didn't go and print out photos for all of my park projects because again, I didn't feel like that was going to be effective use of my time. And then this is a new section that I just added for myself, and I'm calling this my finishing notes. So I had just a scratched piece of paper in here, simple grid of 2 different projects. And so really quickly, I can write in here the name of the project and then the actual size. So the size of the project is 4 5/16 by 4 5/16, roughly around there, because that's what my note is telling me. And then the finish size, I have a frame for this one. It is 9/15 by 16 by 9/15 by 16. And then I just made some notes for myself about the matting. So I want to get a black mat and a gold mat to nest on top of the project, and I have written out the dimensions that each of these needs to be, and I will just sketch it out here and write my shopping list out so that I know what my plans and what I'm thinking for the actual finishing of this project. This is brand new. I just printed these out, so I haven't done that yet, but I just thought it was a good idea to kind of keep track of everything, all the finishing side of things, because as you can see, I have completed many and not finished hardly any of them. And then the last section here is just extra scratch paper. It's just grid paper that I have. And then here are extra of these project planner pages that I have, which is what all of this, where all of this will go. So I'm going to cut these up, and then I will do a probably sped up video showing you how I assemble these.
Okay, so you see me quickly here just pulling up the photos and repasting them down on the new printed pages with the box already printed on them.
Okay, so I finished peeling up all of the images off of the older pages and I've stuck them down into the new pages, and then I have all of my little photos here of the new projects that I have coming in, or on deck rather. And then I'm leaving a spot because I forgot to print one of the photos on accident, but that's fine. I'll just print it in the next batch. Oh, and then also I didn't realize that I'd already printed this one, so I have an extra photo that I'll just throw out. But this is for whatever reason, when I decided to do this project pattern inventory, I decided to put the patterns, arrange them in chronological order. So I'm just gonna keep that up for now. And I'm just gonna continue to add all of these to these pages.
So I use a dot glue runner that I got from Amazon to adhere all of these down. This is what I also used during my scrapbooking days. And I'll link that along with the Filofax and the dividers and everything. The paper I used to print, all of that into the description. So in case you are interested, you have that information there. So then I'm just flipping to the back to add the larger photos to the individual project / pattern pages. And it's just the one photo that I print 3x3 size. Then I write the name of the pattern and the designer on sticky 2 little page flags, because one of them goes into my overall 2026 planning, and then the other will go into my Kanban. And that will show what stage it is in. So all of these will be on deck. None of these will be any further progressed in any way. And I just do the same thing over and over again for every project / pattern. And it is fun for me to do this. I realize that I'm kind of being redundant in a lot of ways, tracking the same information multiple ways. I think it's because this is still kind of new to me. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to go about tracking everything. So why not try it a couple different ways? And then as the months go on, as I continue to use this, then I will know which ways I like to document and or track it versus which ways I don't. So yes, I have lists. Yes, I have individual project pages. Yes, I have checklists on those lists, and I have a Kanban board, and then I have goals and focuses and all of that stuff. I imagine it will whittle itself down as time goes on. But for now, I'm having a lot of fun just updating all of the information in all of the places.
Okay, I've gone through and wrote out all of the names and the designers just to save some time and filming space on my camera. So I have all of these, and I'm putting all of them into the on deck section of my planner. And I went ahead and bubbled in on deck on all of these using my fun dot grid markers. I love these. There's no rhyme or reason to the colors. I just kind of picked a color that I thought coordinated as well as possible with the picture. But yeah, that's the only reason that I did that. And then I wrote out all of the names so you can watch me sticky these down. So some of these are gonna be for, hopefully for 2025, and then a lot of these will be for 2026. So stitching out, I definitely want to do in the winter. Stitching out and reading Badger. And then we have Kitty Candy Corn. That is definitely for next fall. Welcome Home next fall. Trick or Treat is for next fall. Witching Hours for next fall. Can you tell that I really love fall projects? And then yeah, I think the rest of these I would like to try to do in 2025. Okay, so I kind of have a rough idea of when I'm going to stitch each of these in, like what season I'm going to stitch them in. And then for the ones that are 2025, I'm gonna go ahead and add them here, even though that's not really necessarily where they would go. But I know that I want to do Halloween party and Christmas party as well. Black Tot and Sock is another Christmas one, Vintage Christmas, and then Cocoa Quaker. These are the ones that I'm wanting to do in the fall. Fall/winter. So I kind of feel like December is more winter, but for now I'll just leave these guys in fall. And then I also plan to put these in my Kanban board, but as you will notice, some of them I left this little sticky, where are we? Little sticky here, because I'm not gonna add them on deck just yet. Like that just seems too early to do that, and it's just gonna clutter up my things. So for now, I think my plan is for this to just be the stuff that I wanna do in 2025. So I'm gonna take these off because these guys were, I just kind of stuck them in there earlier. And then these are all the ones that are then on deck, because I would like to somewhat imminently, in the next month, the next few months before the end of the year, work on these. So lots on deck here. Only prepping 2. I haven't added a second one, although that is in my folder. And a lot of kitted stuff that's gonna be coming soon. And then let me go back into here. So I'm not gonna put this one on the Kanban board just yet. And then let's see what else. Where's this Thankful Receiver one? That one's not gonna go in here yet. Maybe I put that toward the end because I knew it wasn't gonna be, yeah, because I knew it wasn't gonna be until next year that I worked on this one. So yeah. So that is how I kind of, as I'm adding new patterns/projects in here, as I'm figuring out when it's likely that I would actually stitch them. So it's really nice to have them just on here to have kind of a good idea, general idea of where and when I would do. So my fall's pretty well lined up for next year. So I probably should stop purchasing fall projects. But there's obviously room for other additional projects. And then as far as my Kanban goes, yeah, I think this looks pretty good for the rest of 2025. Lots of projects, but that's okay. It's always fun to have lots of projects. Even if I haven't necessarily started on the projects, I do think that it is good to have like an idea on the map of what it is that is coming up. And then the only thing I have left to do is write out all of the various patterns that I just added to this on deck section of my planner. I didn't want to really do that on camera because it's pretty boring to watch someone else write. But I will do that next. And then after that, I will just do a flip through.
And I know I just said that I was going to do a flip through, but so much time has passed since I actually filmed this that so much has changed. So I'm going to end here, and then I will come back shortly with my end of October, beginning of November update. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you.